Now, I have been a dedicated fan of Luca Guadagnino since seeing 2017's Call Me By Your Name, and ever since then, I have made it a point to watch each of his projects, and I have yet to be disappointed by its outcome. Now, following up from a film he released earlier this year by the name of Challengers, which I quite enjoyed, he takes us on another very interesting journey this time around in this film that is based on a 1985 novella by William S. Burroughs, which is set in the 1950s in Mexico City. Now, the question is this yet another Luca Guadagnino masterclass in filmmaking, or is this the first project of his that I did not quite enjoy? Well, we'll be discussing that and much more in today's spoiler-free review of Queer. Now, before we get into my detailed thoughts of this film, I want to hear your thoughts about Queer. Number one, let me know if you're a fan of Luca. If you are, what's your favorite project or film of his? But then switching gears and talking about this particular movie, what'd you think about the direction, the story? Have you read the book that this is based upon? What'd you think about the performances, the ending? Did it work? Did it not work? Let's talk about it in the comments below. So let's start off by talking about Luca, and I think he's done it again, y'all. Like, he has crafted yet another very cinematic experience that I believe allows its viewers to really reflect on their own notions of intimacy and belonging. Now, this story is being told from a person who identifies within the gay community, and it's very much a gay story, but I personally feel like Luca tells universal stories for everyone, no matter your sexual preference, and in this movie, he adeptly captures the anxious excitement and the uncertainty that accompanies any intimate interactions. The anxiety of navigating one's desire, combined with the fear of judgment or rejection, remains at the forefront of our main character's journey throughout this narrative.
His old queen, who taught me that I had a duty to live, to conquer hate with knowledge and sincerity and love.
I can't express how much I admire Luca's work and his ability to really capture his character's emotional journey of self-discovery, self-reflection, self-harm, and or finding one's true identity, everything that comes with that, and in this film, it's no different. He's yet again set another example that showcases his brilliance. Now, sticking with behind the lens of this film, the visuals of Queer truly encapsulates both the vibrant energy and the nature of various elements of our main character's Lee's journey, as well as showcasing the emotional wasteland Lee grapples with. Luca's deliberate artistic choices and collaboration with his cinematographer, paired with a stylized lighting and the imaginative set designs, really create a otherworldly ambiance with this fever dream-like aesthetic that mirrors Lee's internal struggles. There are these incredible moments of transitions between reality and hallucinations that really depict Lee's decaying mental state as he vacillates between moments of lucidity and dark despair.
You think he's queer? I've been spending time with him. I can't tell.
Well, could always just ask.
No.
Now, speaking to the music and the sounds in this film, which I found to be very important in creating the vibe and the overall tone, it has this very exciting soundtrack to it, notably featuring the music of Nirvana and New Order, which adds like this sense of dislocation, while at the same time invoking emotional resonance that sits with you while you're watching this film. On top of having Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross bring in their own music, which adds its own uniqueness to the experience as well. So if you couldn't tell, I thought that the filmmaking in this movie was incredibly powerful and very artistically executed and extremely creative in every single way. Now, talking about the performances in this movie, which I found to be quite impressive, I thought everyone was great, starting from the supporting performances from Lesley Manville, who plays a doctor in this film. Now, she doesn't come in till much later in the movie, but she plays a very important part of Lee's and Eugene's journey. And you have Jason Schwartzman as Joe, who's Lee's friend, who adds this really good sense of humor in this film, which on that note, even though this film could be dark at times, the movie doesn't forget to be entertaining but also playful at the same time. Now, my first time seeing a bigger role from Drew Starkey, who's the co-lead of this film, was in the first season of the Netflix show Outer Banks, and let's just say I wasn't a fan of his acting, but since then he's shown me that he is a good actor, and in this movie he really impressed me. Now, in this film he plays our character Eugene, who's a young man who Lee assesses over the movie, and Drew brings this mystery to the role, but also a level of power that he knows that he has over Lee, and he plays the charming but cold and somewhat unpredictable and manipulative type of person very well in this film. Now, this movie just doesn't work at all from a performance perspective without Daniel Craig's very strong award-worthy performance. Now, Lee is an alcoholic. He is a drug addict and a person who displays self-destructive tendencies, all while being such a great character to see the story through. Now, Lee's addiction to drugs and alcohol is very prominent in this film, but his addiction to Eugene was so interesting and intense to watch because you know this guy isn't the right person for Lee, and he'll never be the person that he wants him to be, even though Lee turns himself inside out trying to get Eugene to not only see him, but more importantly, love him, and it's just never gonna happen. As Lee descends into the depths of his passion and his addictions, we really get to witness a raw portrayal of how far an individual will go to forge connections that are often unattainable. Now, I was just extremely impressed by Daniel Craig, who I've been a fan of throughout most of his career. Like, I think he's an excellent actor, but the vulnerability in his role was so impressive, but also his willingness to truly give himself into this character, it was just truly remarkable to witness. There is just so much that I liked about this film, from its striking, profound exploration of love, longing, and often distorted pathways of human desire. This film truly goes beyond the mere narrative of a person yearning for a relationship, but it really does take its time really diving deep into the psychological complexities of unreciprocated affection, addiction, and the existential ambiguities of identity. The thematic foundations of Queer is woven with the threads of addiction, but not just from substances, but also people. Here, addiction morphs into insatiable yearning, a compelling desire that blinds Lee to the futility of his pursuit. We watch as Lee transverses the boundaries of emotional physical desire as he experiments with extreme measures such as financial incentives and psychedelic drugs to deepen his connection with Eugene. As these actions truly highlight an overarching sense of desperation that lies beneath the surface of his charm and charisma. I also can't forget to mention how much of a psychological thriller this movie really is, and the extreme levels that it takes to showcasing true intense body horror, which I did not expect from this film, but it was very much welcome, and it just added even more layers to this already thought-provoking experience.
I want to talk to you without speaking.
Now, don't get me wrong, this movie does not come without its flaws. Transitioning to my criticisms that I have with the movie, I found the film got better as it went along, especially when we get into the second half and especially in the third act of the film. It is not that the first half was bad, it just wasn't as compelling or as interesting as what we get after the introduction of the film once we see Lee's kind of day-to-day situation. I also thought, narratively speaking, that the plot sometimes veered off into arcs and subplots that felt a bit underdeveloped, and again, some moments in the first act that I just felt that were stagnant and really didn't exactly know where it was trying to go. Now, even though I like most of the third act, I did find that the epilogue that we got in this film, similar to another film that I'll be talking about soon in The Brutalist, where the ending ends on a really good, interesting note, but then this epilogue comes along and it feels underwhelming, and I was just not personally satisfied by that particular ending with that epilogue when it comes to tying up this overall story. So before we get into my final thoughts of this film, give you a score, and if this film is worth checking out, I want to take the time to thank you all for making it to this point in the video. If you enjoyed my thoughts about the film, make sure you hit the like button, but more importantly, share your thoughts about the movie and consider sticking around by subscribing to the channel. Overall, despite its initial romantic premise, Queer ultimately exposes the unfortunate and dangerous consequences of unreciprocated love. The film masterfully blurs the line between affection and obligation, complicating the simplistic notions of love often depicted in mainstream cinema. When I really look at this film, Queer, to me, it is an evocative, multifaceted exploration of desire, addiction, and the complexities of chasing love. Through the lens of William Lee's intense journey, Luca Guadagnino invites the audience to confront the depths of longing and the often painful realization that love may not always be reciprocated. By marrying the surrealism with the rich characterizations and the beautiful visuals, Queer emerges as a landmark film that resonates with the universal themes of connection and loss and the human condition. This film serves, to me, as a poignant reminder that while our pursuit of desire may lead us to dark and confusing places, the exploration of intimacy, however frustrating or sad or depressing or happy it makes you, It's an essential part of the human experience. At the end of the day, I highly recommend you all give Queer a watch, and with that being said, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Now, this film has had a limited release starting back in November, but it will have a wide release by the time this video is out on December 13th. Again, I highly recommend you all go and check this film out. It is a wonderful experience, and again, Luca Guadagnino has not missed in my book, and this is one of my favorite films of his, and I highly recommend you all check it out. And when you do, let me know your thoughts about it. What worked, what didn't work? How do you think this film explored the relationship between the characters? How did you think about the ending? Let's talk about it all in the comments below. Thank you all again for watching this video. Keep an eye out for a lot more reviews I have coming soon. Hit the bell notification, that way you don't miss out on that content. Don't forget, you all are awesome. Stay safe, and I'll catch you all on the next breakdown.